Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is John Phillips, co-founder of PredictIt, the stock market of politics. We're going to talk about the California recount and what's happening in New York with Governor Cuomo. John, it's great to see you as always. Welcome back to Trade Talks.
Thank you, Jill. It's good to be back.
All right, and we got a couple of hot ticket items on the docket for this week. Let's talk about what traders think regarding the special vote that we're seeing happening. The recall that we're seeing in California.
Sure. Well, I mean, this is sort of a demolition derby, right? You've got this contest between the governor of California and the governor of New York as to which one self-destructs faster. And who would have thought that would be the case just 9 days ago in the case of New York? Yes, there was the nursing home issue, and in California, you know, Californians are kind of miserable about the direction the state's taking. But let's go to California first. We had the single largest day of trading with 200,000 shares on California yesterday. And so this number is going up. It's not presidential election size trading, but it's significant. And traders are lining up on both sides of the recall effort, although it's certainly at 89 cents, or meaning 89% odds, traders think that the California recall of Gavin Newsom is going to be put to the vote. It is going to qualify. By qualifying, they mean how many signatures get collected. And the news from the Secretary of State's office said up to the end of February, 83% of the signatures submitted by those wanting to recall Newsom were valid. So there's also betting right now on how many valid signatures are going to arrive, and it's almost equally split. But everybody seems to think it's going to be at least 1 million signatures are going to qualify for the ballot. And then you can decide what you think the volume is going to be. In California politics, signature qualification is a business where the campaign for recall or for a referendum will put down a certain amount of money based on valid signatures, and they'll pay vendors to stand in front of the supermarkets and elsewhere to collect those signatures. So there's going to be a California recall, and it's going to comfortably qualify for the ballot.
So politics isn't necessarily my wheelhouse. So just so I understand it better, so the audience understands it better, didn't we kind of go through this with the national election and questioning the results and demanding recounts and so forth? Or is this something that's a little bit more off base?
Well, I mean, look, California has made an art and a science out of recall campaign, out of petition and registration and qualification. You know, they've got this direct democracy, which is they put it to the voters. If you can't decide, if the legislature can't decide, or if it's something like a recall election, you put it to the voters, and then the voters decide. And the voters have spoken very definitively on things like this. Remember, Governor Schwarzenegger was installed after the recall of his predecessor. So these referendum campaigns like Proposition 13 and these recall efforts, that's just the normal way of doing politics in California and states like that.
No wonder it's challenging for us to come up with a cohesive national strategy when it comes to the national election. It's just really interesting to see how, in fact, it is different from state to state. So moving to the other side of the country, to the East Coast where we live, New York. I mean, if you would have had this conversation 8 to 10 months ago, Governor Cuomo, are you going to run for national office? You're handling the COVID-19 situation extraordinarily well, and it's been quite the change of fortune over the past week and a half.
Yeah. I mean, New York is another case of just self-immolation. It's fascinating that the tide has turned so quickly. There was this simmering, and some would say very serious matter of falsification of nursing home deaths that the governor, now one of the governor's aides, has acknowledged that they suppressed the number of deaths for optics reasons or for whatever reason. But the fact of the matter is that's a very serious allegation to make against a sitting governor, especially one as powerful and some would say vindictive as Governor Cuomo. But the fact of the matter is where there's smoke, there's fire. And it does appear as if this nursing home, the deaths from COVID nursing homes, is a valid charge coming in from Cuomo's opponents, and not just his normal political opponents. Now, fast forward to the sexual harassment allegations, which really surfaced 9 days ago in a New York Times story. That's fascinating because this is almost taken on more urgency and is more toxic to the governor than the nursing home scandal. And that is something that doesn't show signs of going away. Now there are, I think, 5 women who are accusing the governor of inappropriate behavior. The interesting thing is traders on PredictIt think it's in terms of his resignation, will Cuomo resign or will he not be governor by the end of this year? It's a coin flip according to PredictIt traders, almost 50-50. Now you can make some profit on this market because just for instance, just yesterday, it jumped 15 cents. So you can see this is fluctuating between 50 and 65 cents odds that Cuomo will not be the governor at the end of the year. And that's moving up and down 10, 15 cents with every new revelation. And then the question is what's going to happen if Cuomo does resign or if he's impeached. What happens after that? So this is very high stakes for both of these men in terms of what's going to happen going forward. And of course, as you point out, it's going to have a lot to do with what, this is going to even impact certainly 2022 and 2024. And that's something to watch.
One thing is for certain, our PredictIt segments are always one of the more interesting ones each week. John, thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks. And thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks, Jill.